Hinda would pick the most beautiful day so far of this year for us to all join together. It's our opportunity to remember her, and in the tradition we do so by looking into the book of Psalms for comfort. There it is written, Esainai el Heharim, Me'ayin yavo Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim ba'aretz. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. Behold, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian and your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. Adonai yishmor tzetelcha uvoecha me'ata ve'ad olam. May the Eternal guard you from all harm. May the Eternal guard your soul in your going and your coming, now and forever. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai roi lo echsar, v'nodesha yarbitzeni al mei menuchot yenachaleni. Eternal God, you are my shepherd, I shall not want. You make me lie down in green pastures. You lead me beside still waters. You restore my soul. You lead me in right paths for the sake of your name. Even when I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. With rod and staff you comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Eternal forever. For Hinda, who was indeed a woman of valor, and so much more, we read from the book of Proverbs. A woman of valor who can find, her worth is far above rubies. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and nothing shall he lack. She renders him good and not evil all the days of her life. She opens her hand to the needy, and extends her hand to the poor. She is robed in strength and dignity, and cheerfully faces whatever may come. She opens her mouth with wisdom. Her tongue is guided by kindness. She tends to the affairs of her household and eats not the bread of idleness. Her children come forward and bless her, her husband too, and he praises her. Many daughters have done superbly, you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty short-lived, but a God-revering woman is much to be praised. Wherever people gather, her deeds speak her praise. Death has summoned our beloved Hinda apple. Our souls cry out unto you, O God, what are we? Are we the creatures of dust, whose destiny is but to return to the dust from which we came? The ancient sage has taught us the spirit of the human being is the lamp of the Eternal. Not even the darkness of death can extinguish the light which the Eternal has kindled in the sanctuary of the human soul. Therefore, O God, we thank you in this solemn hour for that which was deathless in the life of our cherished Hinda, and which is now revealed to us in all of its beauty. For her love that united us in life and which death cannot sever. For her companionship which we shared along life's path and which still continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of her heart and her mind which brought us joy and happiness, and now have become a precious heritage of the Spirit. For all this and more, we give you our praise. Grant unto us, O God, the strength of all the generations of our people with the face of freedom have proclaimed. Adonai Natan, Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach. God has given, God has taken away. Still, blessed be the name of God. This week's Torah portion is an interior decorator's dream come true. In it, God tells Moses to command the Israelites to bring forth all kinds of materials, precious metals and stones, threads and cloths, skins and woods. These are all to be used to construct and appoint the tabernacle, the tent of meeting, its coverings, the ark and its cover, special tables. And it describes in explicit detail the kind of clasps and boards and pillars and sockets and vessels and candlesticks and lamps and screens and cabinet doors, anything you could imagine a building needing. And anything, every detail of the construction process is considered in this portion. And then the portion turns to what the garments of the high priest should be, their robes and how they must have bells and pomegranates affixed to the bottoms, to the hems. And then it says, beautifully, that Kol Isha Chachmat Lev, and all the women who were wise-hearted did spin with their hands. I could imagine our Hinda taking over this storyline. With a commanding presence and in a whirlwind of activity so like her, she would be gathering all the necessary materials and fabrics to allocate them for every detail of her room. She would take the workers to the esteemed red brick store, and through the red brick house, picking out furnishings and fabrics. As in her detail-oriented way, she would pull together the most elaborate settings fit for royalty, fit for the divine. Additionally, because she had such a flair for fashion herself and such a refined eye of bringing together outfits that made the person feel confident and radiant, she could pull together the clothing of the high priest, the clothing that would adorn the people and fit the setting. She herself would wear the most fashionable outfits, but most significantly, she would use her wise heart, a heart that was empathetic and caring and discerning, to pull everything and everyone together just so, to create a memorable experience upon entering wherever it was that she laid her hand on. The thing is, it's not so far-fetched to think of Hinda Apple in this way. Associated not so much with the ancient tabernacle, although she loved antiques, but rather with the modern temple. She was an active member of the Temple Tifereth Israel for over 60 years. Although raised Orthodox by her parents, Helen and Morris Podursky, she was drawn to the intellectual power of Rabbi Abba Hillel Silver. In those early days, she was active in the Mr. and Mrs. Club, participating in productions and socializing with temple friends. She became a fond friend of one of her contemporaries, Rabbi Dan, and his wife Adele Silver. With her exquisite eye for beauty and thoughtful manner of convening people, she advised Rabbi Dan with the construction of the temple branch. She intuitively understood the goal in that sacred home, as in one's personal home, was not to fill a room with pieces of furniture, but rather to create settings in which people could meet their maker and exchange ideas with each other. She was designing an environment for family, for friendship, and for fun. I would enjoy Hinda as part of my life these last 30 years. When she and Erwin, upon their return from Mexico each year, would stop at the temple to announce their arrival. She would join us for elegant functions throughout the years, always sporting a sun-kissed golden glow and a fashion-forward outfit that complemented her beautiful figure. She had an effortless kind of feeling to the I remember most about Hinda was the way her inner beauty and her endearing kindness warmed the room and truly made her memorable. Hinda was memorable to many. In her family, she was adored not only by her parents, but by her siblings, by Flora and by Shelley. The family owned Podursky Bakery, which was located just shortly across from here on Coventry. She attended John Hayes High School for the early part of her years, and then when the family moved, she graduated from Cleveland Heights High School. Later, she would earn a decorating degree and become a registered member of the American Society of Interior Designers. Like the pieces she would select to decorate a room, she herself stood out for her uniqueness and her aesthetics, and she could pull together an eclectic crowd of people into a finely arranged social network of friends. The architect, Alil Sarin, instructed, always design a thing by considering it in its larger context. A chair in a room in a house in an environment. That was the way Hinda viewed not just furniture, but her world. She had a much larger scope that saw the world around her through rose-colored glasses and helped make things beautiful. And she looked to the future with good cheer and brought good cheer to so many. That was especially true of the future that she would create with Erwin. They met at a holiday dance when the lovely Hinda Podursky was just 18. And they decided to drop their original dates at that dance and leave that evening together. How could he not be taken by the stunning girl who looked as adorable in pigtails as she did elegant in an evening gown? And with his commanding presence and comfortable disposition, Erwin would sweep her off her feet. Apparently, though, as Hinda herself recalled, it took another 3 years to get rid of all the other girls. They would marry in 1950, and they shared quite a love affair until his passing in 2008. It was apparent in their working together, in their playing together, and in their parenting together how much they cared about each other. Working at the Red Brick store in Brecksville, they created a Cleveland institution that lasted from 1961 until 1991. It had a reputation as the place you went to see the beautiful furniture and the beautiful people. And anyone who was a part of Cleveland society, let alone the Jewish social scene, owned a piece from that store. They acquired pieces from all over the world as they went on buying trips. Companies valued their opinions on what would sell. They were indeed a dynamic partnership at work and at home. That partnership at home was manifest in the elaborate parties that they organized to entertain people. Hinda was an excellent cook, set a beautiful table, and had that kind of floating on air grace about her as she greeted each person and made them feel special, from local friends to international celebrities. They made Puerto Vallarta their second home, and it was literally surrounded by Hollywood stars. Their own home had been built by Charles Bronson, and they knew many of their famous neighbors because they would plan house tours to help the less fortunate in that community. They were like unofficial royalty themselves, as everyone knew them. On their travels around the world, her approachable and effervescent personality attracted attention and led to new friends. They took some beautiful trips together. I remember Hinda telling me about trips to Italy, Hungary, Bermuda, Alaska, and cruises with Erwin's sister Adele and brother-in-law Bob on the QET to Europe. Often wearing her signature white outfit, she and Erwin made an entrance wherever they went. And they often took Michael along with them. Michael, you were their greatest treasure. Hinda would say of you, that the day they got you, you were the best and brightest thing that ever happened in her life. In your mother's eyes, you could do no wrong, although at times you did test that theory to its very limits. But she adored you. She took great pride in you and took you everywhere with her. One of your favorite memories was when you were 11 years old and she pulled you out of school to get a 3-week education as you toured throughout England and Wales together. Those were the years when Beatlemania was at its height, and she let you walk the streets in your Beatle boots and even see the first release of Yellow Submarine movie and eat fish and chips to your heart's delight. In your mind's eye, as you recounted this trip to me, it was filled with such detail of the streets you walked together and even her face as your kayak went over the falls. This could be because she dutifully made you record every detail in a biography journal that you had to keep so as to justify missing so much school. Going to Spain and Morocco when you were 15 on what would become impromptu trade shows outings of your parents, picking out beautiful rugs and accessories to sell in the store, taught you to appreciate your mother's eclectic tastes and her eye for beauty. And regular trips to Mexico, where you practically grew up and continued to enjoy until about 2002, also had that kind of effect on you. Closer to home, Hinda supported your passions. She was there for many of your track meets as you made your way to becoming #1 in the conference. And Hinda and Michael walked away with the first place finish at a mother-son ballroom dance contest. After she quietly whispered in your ear, "Michael, we'll win this if you let me lead." In life, she was a leader, and she was a wonderful guide. Michael, while you gave your parents a run for a while, when you graduated from paramedic school, and it was so proud of you, and so content in these last years that you had found your purpose along life's journey. For her grandchildren, for Josh and Tyler and Danielle, and also including Spencer, there are sweet memories of Hinda hugging you and squeezing you and leaving signs of her bright red lipstick on your cheeks. Josh, you really had the most complete set of memories of when your grandmother, in all her glory, would reach out to you on so many occasions. Your regular calls to her and weekly visits really strengthened that bond. She would have loved to have been around for you and Kylie as you join your lives together. Because Hinda was all about joining lives together. For holidays and family birthdays, Hinda was a huge part of all of your lives. The gourmet cook she nonetheless enjoyed when you'd all meet up at the Pancake House on Chagrin for family dining. Family time was so important to her, and once you were family, you were always family. This was particularly endearing when it came to her daughters-in-law, to Monique, to Lori, and to Rochelle. She was so happy to meet Sherry and to see Michael content. And Monique, you stepped in to take the place of a daughter, opening not just your heart but your home to Hinda. You and Wayne gave her a strong sense of security, showered her with love and attention during these last 8 years as she joined your family. Spent so much time together. You said you were tied at the hip, and I would add at the heart. What made each of you so committed to Hinda was that she saw the best in you. She noticed beauty all around her, and she made you see it too. From your heart to your home, to the sky, even on a rainy day, to your soul, even when you were struggling. Hinda herself was struggling these last years, especially after Owen passed away. She'd been so incredibly devoted to him. I can remember so many times sharing their company, enjoying the traffic patterns in their home of friends and family dropping in for visits. More recently, Hinda's health has been deteriorating, and this whole COVID mess made it even more daunting for her to recover. But she was blessed that in recent day, that traffic pattern of family coming to her side helped to bring her solace and comfort. Hinda lived a full life until the age of 91. She lived a grand life with excitement. She created a life that would touch so many people, whether with her kindness and sincerity or with her exquisite taste that filled a home, or her tenacity of spirit that filled your heart. She leaves to each of you gathered here her high ideals for you, and hope that you will fulfill your hopes and your dreams for a life filled with purpose. It's with a full heart that we now join with the sages to declare Zichrona Livracha. May her memory continue to be your blessing. Each of you has precious memories of Hinda. We take a moment as we silently compose the eulogy of our own hearts. Precious meditations and our private memories be acceptable to you, our God, our rock, and our Redeemer. We ask God to accept Hinda's soul with the words of El Malay. I'll invite you to please rise. El Malay Rachamim, Shochein Ba'maromim. Amtsei mincha nechona tachat kanfei hashechina, im kedoshim utehorim kezohar harakia mazhirim et nishmata shel hachal olama. Ba'al harachamim yastireha beseter kanafav le'olamim, v'yitzror b'tzror hachayin et nishmata. Adonai hu nachalata, Tanuach b'shalom al mishkava v'nomar, Amen. O compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Hinda Apple, who has entered unto eternity. God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace. And let us answer, Amen. buds and in the rebirth of spring, we will remember her. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we will remember her. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember her. When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember her. When we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember her. When we have joys we yearn to share, we will remember her. So long as we live, Hinda too shall live, for she is now a part of each of us as we remember her. Our tradition teaches us the dust returns to the earth as it was, the spirit returns to God who gave it. It is only the house of the spirit which we now lay in the bosom of the earth. The spirit itself cannot die. Here too our dear ones continue in the loving remembrance of those to whom they were precious. Receive in mercy, O God, the soul of our departed Hinda Apple. Grant her that everlasting peace which you have laid up for us in the world to come. Though no human eye has seen, nor ear has heard, nor mind has compassed it, it is still our sure inheritance and our everlasting portion. Therefore do we commit that which is most precious to us to God's keeping, as we now join together with the words of Kaddish. Together we pray. Yitgadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, Yalma, Divrach, Hirutei, Yamlich, Malchutei, V'chayachon, V'yomechon, Chaye, Dechol, Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, Uvizman, Hariv, Bimru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah, Mevorach, Ve'olam, U'almei Almayah. Yitbarach, Yishtabach, Yitfa'ar, Yitromam, Yitnaseh. Yitadar, Yitaleh, Yitalal, Shemei Dekudusha, Brechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. V'seh shalom v'mroha. V'yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. The miracle is ended. The precious soul returns to her maker. May God comfort you along with all the mourners of Zion and of Jerusalem. The last act of loving kindness that we perform for a loved one is to help to bury our beloved dead. We do so by placing a little bit of the earth on the casket. The way you'll do this is that you'll lift the shovel and place the earth on the casket, and then return the shovel back to the into the barrel. We don't pass the shovel from one person to another because it's a reminder to us that we can't pass our grief from one person to another, and each of us must now lift this heavy burden for ourselves. So Michael, you're going to begin.